Well, the biggest tradable asset this club has is their number one prospect, Diego Cartaya. And I know this is a guy that a lot of fans don't want to get rid of. They don't want to lose him, but also if you want to get the club better, you want to go out and find a way to get a Liam Hendriks. Or a Liam Hendriks type. That's who they're asking for. Should the Dodgers consider trading Diego Cartaya in the right move for a win now, for a monumentally better chance to win a 2023 ring?
So, look, I mean, this is tough for me because Diego Cartaya, I consider him a close friend of mine. He was sitting in that chair. His autograph is right behind you. I would only trade him if it's a star that has team control. If you're talking a Sandy Alcantara, a big piece like that, I wouldn't include him for a deal for Liam Hendriks and Tim Anderson, some of those guys that won't be with you long term, because Cartaya, he has so much talent. He has so much potential. This guy could legitimately be a multi-time All-Star. But on the same token, I will say, it doesn't match up with Will Smith. So Will Smith, this is a guy you have under team control through 2025. This is a guy that wants to be a catcher. And behind him, you have Dalton Rushing, the Dodgers 2022 second-round pick. He's continuing to emerge. He's climbing a prospects list, 42 games in single-A, a 938 OPS with 7 home runs. And those numbers were similar to Cartaya. So he's continued to emerge. You also have, like I said, Will Smith, but then also Lorenzo, who is a guy that a lot of people are. Thayron Lorenzo is 19 years old.
Yeah, just another dude.
And this
another dude ready.
This is a guy who's a scout told me could be better than Diego Cartaya and Keibert Ruiz. So the way I look at it is, if you're this Dodgers organization, you look at the catchers you have. If Diego Cartaya is not going to make his debut for another year or another 2 or 3 years, and you want to win now and you want to cash in on that, I think that's something they have to strongly consider. But the reality, though, with Diego Cartaya, unless it's for a big piece, I'm keeping him because he's a special power hitter. I know when you see him and you squint, you see a little bit of one of our favorite players, right? Mr. Mike Piazza. And by the way, Mike Piazza, taken with the 1,390th pick in the 62nd round, the 88 draft. He's the lowest pick to ever be a Hall of Famer, and he'll always have that record because, of course, the draft doesn't go 62nd round, 62 rounds now. So, yeah, I think keeping him in Dodger Blue, the legacy of catchers, makes sense. Also, Andrew Friedman said that his makeup is in my Mount Rushmore of young players I've been around. So that speaks to how highly this organization thinks of him. But let me ask you, would you pull the trigger on a Diego Cartaya trade, Mr. Clint?
I mean, I could walk out if I'm trying to get you to buy my 2008 Acura TL. I'm going to spin a lot of BS your way as well.
Facts.
I want my asset to hold the most value, or at least sound like it has the most value. They have guys. They have other catching options. And they also have Will F. Smith. Middle name is Dills, but they have Will Smith. This is the guy that you want to invest your future in. This is the guy that is going to be your catcher for the next 8 to 10 years if you play your cards right, Dodgers, which they kind of struggle at doing sometimes. This is a prime time to try to lock him up for the next few years. But how many catchers do you need? You know, they're not going to have a tandem of Will Smith and Diego Cartaya. Diego Cartaya isn't going to play third base. He's not going to play first base. He's not going to play center field. Not going to play right field. You got a guy out there for the next 9 years or so. If you want to win now, that is your biggest asset. And if there is a Dodger tax, everybody's going to come asking for that guy. They've traded the 1 and 2 prospects before, and they got a 1-year guy and a 2-year guy. That almost feels like a Liam Hendriks and a Tim Anderson situation. Both of these boys you want desperately. This guy here wants them a lot. So I don't know. That sounds to me like you're trying to play both sides here. You're saying
no. I'm saying that
I want to hold on to. I
would trade him. I would absolutely trade him if it's for a marquee name. If it's for a big
Liam
piece.
Hendriks,
I would do that.
3-time All-Star. He's a closer. He's the guy who's settling your bullpen. He's the guy that we've said, we spent an hour here talking about, hey, this is the need for this team. They need a closer, a bona fide all-star level closer that's not Craig Kimbrell to help solidify the rest of the guys in the bullpen, to solidify those roles. You want him you're going to have to pay for him because the White Sox can be there. I don't know. We feel like we're kind of in on this. Why would we give you our closer? Because we want him. And this is what we're going to give you. We're going to give you Diego Cartaya, and we're going to give you Michael Busch, and you're going to give us these guys. And hell, we'll throw in probably a Michael Grove or something.
But I still think you could get those guys though and give them Michael Bushes of the world, other prospects. I think you could hold on to Diego Cartaya and trade him later.
I don't think this market's going to be like what we're used to, man. This is going to be a very.
I agree, but I think that when you look at the names that are out there that could be available, I think the thing with Cartaya, look, and I'm okay with trading Cartaya. I think when you look at the depth they have, the other catchers, and as I laid out earlier with Will Smith, he's going to be your catcher for at the very least the next 2 seasons, but I think for the foreseeable future. And I think a lot of people always get caught up in the number 1 or number 2 prospects in your organization, right? You keep the number 1 guy, keep the number 2 guy. Cartaya is the name we've heard about for so long. We know his heritage from Venezuela, and the reality is he can't really play another position, so that is out of the window too. He's not going to be your third baseman, so get that out of your mind. But I will say, it almost reminds me of Monopoly. How, in Monopoly, everyone always thinks that the best properties are Boardwalk and Park Place because those are the expensive ones. Those are the ones. But guess what? It takes a lot of money to put houses on those. It takes a lot of money to put hotels on those. You want to own the Orange Tiles, the Tennessees, the St. James Place, the Indiana Avenue, because jail is in between those. Probability-wise, you have the biggest chance to land on those properties. And to me, those are the Dalton Rushings, right? Those are the other guys that are the orange ones. So that's how I look at this organization, following it for so many years. Sometimes it's the number 5, 6, 7, 8 prospects that come in, have a big impact. Of course, there's the Seagers, the Bellies, and the Luxes, but I think a lot of different times with organizations, you don't want to just hold on to that number 1 guy because he is the number 1 guy. So, to answer your question, would I trade Diego Cartaya? I would, but knowing Andrew Friedman, I want a big deal. I mean, look at Trey Turner and Max Scherzer. If Max Scherzer doesn't get injured, I think the Dodgers win the World Series that year. I truly do believe that. And that deal makes a lot of sense to me. Yeah. And you traded Kabert and Josiah Gray. So if there's a name out there that makes sense that it's under a little more team control, I'm okay with. But for, let's say, a Hendricks, if they bring him in, of course, that vests his option and you get him next year for $15 million. You got the club option on Tim Anderson. That makes some sense too. Does that get them over the top to the point where you say, let's include Diego Cartaya? Or do you let Cartaya, who really has picked it up of late, he started the year slow, 638 OPS, 38 games, and 1,056 OPS in his last 8 games. So he's definitely performed better. Yeah. But I think the big kicker for me, the deal breaker with Diego Cartaya, is the injury concerns, the back and the hamstring. He's only 21 years old, playing in a AA league where the average age is around 23, 24 years old. Are his injury concerns something that's top of mind for me? I would say yes. So, I think you could sell him high, but it's only for the right guys.
This is absolutely the sell high time, and you want the right guys. You want Liam Hendricks. That's who they're going to be asking for. This is a 3-time All-Star closer, and that means something. And the Chicago White Sox aren't the smartest bunch of front office, we'll say. So let us know. Also, mash the thumbs up button for Doug's Monopoly analogy here, because that was fire.
I love Monopoly. Is my favorite game. I used to work at some place where we didn't actually work, and we would play Monopoly almost every single day. It was insane.
A lot of rage quitting.
Yeah. What Monopoly guy are you? I like that. I'm a hat guy. I'm a top hat guy. But what's your piece? You're a car dude?
Hell yeah. Have I told you about my all-new 2008 Acura TL? You want to buy it? You looking for a car?
Is it silver?
It is silver.
Sounds like fire, man.
In most parts.
Let's go. Better than my grandma's Accord that I drive.
Hey.
Just kidding, Grandma.
Shout out Grandma. She's a nice lady. I remember when I had a grandma. Anyway, would you guys trade Diego Cartaya for, let's say, I would not say, for me, Diego Cartaya straight up for Liam Hendricks. No, it is part of a bigger package. But would you guys be willing to move Diego Cartaya in the right move? To me, a right move is going to help you win this season, and I don't see Diego Cartaya fitting on this club at any point. You can't stash him down there in the event. You can't stash him at AA or AAA for the next 2 or 3 seasons in the event that Will somehow gets hurt for an extended period of time. It's not how baseball works. That the Dodgers got lucky with that in 2006. They had the catcher of the future. It was Deanna Navarro. Then he got hurt, and out comes Russell Martin. Who was the other guy before? Whatever. Just Russell Martin.
Yeah. I think you have to always bring up this number. Literally 70% of prospects don't work out. 70%. Okay. I mean, we got some of them do, some of them don't. And
shout out Billy Ashley.
Yeah, there you go. Shout out Billy Ashley, man. I mean, it just happens. It's the name of the game. You can't expect all these guys to succeed. But yeah, I would trade him. Yeah.
Yeah.
St. James Place.
You bring
Tennessee
up
Avenue.
See, you went back to it. You bring up the what's it called? You bring up the Dodger tax. I'm telling you, that's what it's going to have to be. But let's see. Anthony Keene says, yeah, I don't see Cartaya fitting in with the Dodgers unless he's switching positions. Notably, the team is not extremely high on his ability to receive. And they've made that pretty clear.
Yeah, he has a great arm, a plus arm, and he continues to improve at calling games. But really his issue is balls in the dirt, right? I mean, he's a big catcher. Anytime you're a big catcher like that, sometimes that tends to be an issue. So, yeah, I think defensively there are some concerns moving forward. He has to master some things, and it's kind of a work in progress. But
still 21, yep.
He's only 21. Look, if he's a guy who can hit 30 home runs from behind the plate, you'll feel good about